Harshit. Welcome to Love Heals Cancer and Zenonco.io. As you know that we do cancer healing journey sessions in which you share your journey as a survivor and caregiver so that people who are still going through this battle can get some inspiration and motivation out of it. So how are you doing today and what's going on?
Hi Ritika, thank you so much for inviting me. And right now I'm enjoying my weekend. Work from home is going on, but this Saturday I'm enjoying my weekend and very much excited to share my journey. So wanted to be a part of LHC, wanted to do my bit, and I'm excited for this thing, doing this interview with you.
Thank you for doing this. And you can just start by sharing your journey, like what were the symptoms and how was it diagnosed?
So, I was a caregiver, and my story revolves around my mother, who is a ovarian cancer survivor. So I'll start about the family, how the family was placed when all these things happened. In 2018, mother is still working with Bank of Baroda, and father at that time was working with the Federal Mughal and was doing up down from home. So they were basically placed at Rajpura. And brother recently moved to Australia, and I was working in Hero at Jaipur. So mom and dad were living alone at home. So it all started in around March 2018. So there were very simple symptoms like indigestion, fever, loss of appetite. So we went to a local doctor. He ridiculed it. This is some stomach infection, and this will go in a day or two. We took medicines. Things improved, but in a week, fever came back again, and these symptoms started again. We then, out of curiosity, went to a Ayurvedic doctor. So who told us these are very symptoms of age. Like with age, the small intestine contracts, and there's nothing to worry. You take this medicine, and you'll be fine in a week or so. Things started to improve actually, and we were thinking he's right. But after a few weeks again, the symptoms were back, and we were very curious, like what is happening? Things are not moving good, and there's something serious we need to check into. So some of the other doctor we went to, he said, go for the test, specifically pertaining to liver, and get a urine test as well done if you're getting these. So we went ahead. Tests were surprised were very much normal. In urine test, it came out to be RBCs. So we thought it's stone, and this is what is disturbing right now. So then we went ahead for ultrasound just to confirm what is it. And suddenly, when we went for the ultrasound, picture was completely different. The radiologist was very much shocked, and the results were like he saw a cyst, and there was some fluid in between the lungs and the chest cavity. So, which was a sign of a very concern at that time. And he immediately suggested to see a gynecologist. We were afraid the situation was getting tense, but at the same time, we went to a local doctor and we told him this. He said he ridiculed. I said, "There's nothing. This is very common. This happens at the age, so it is okay. हो जाएगा ठीक." But we still went it and saw a gynecologist. They did some test and we went to Chandigarh, which is a place nearby to our house. And we went to a government hospital. They did series of tests, and CA125 was one among them. CA125 is ovarian cancer marker. It was one among those tests. Everything came out to be normal, but barring CA125. So doctors were very much curious, like what is going wrong. And by this time, things were like we were in June. It was around 2nd of June, and doctor had already told my father that she is suspecting cancer, but dad didn't tell to any of us. So she wanted to rule out other things, the TB and all these things. So tests were going on for a series of days. And at this time, we children like me and my brother were falling. We were touching on the phone. We were not present physically. But on 2nd of June, when she said ki we need to do a biopsy to rule out things, so then things started becoming very stressful. I came home. Like, I took off for a week, and where was I placed? Like I was at Jaipur. I told you, like I was in Jaipur, and I was at that time at that stage. I was preparing for my MBA. I was preparing for my MBA and also looking for a job change. So there were things going on in my life, but I took a back seat and I took this as a priority and came back home and went to hospital with mom for all these things. So series of tests continued, and 4th of June we went for a biopsy. Then was result was scheduled on 10th of June. Again, there were tests. We visited hospital for twice in a week, and On 10th, when the D-Day arrived, I was with mom and dad went into the hospital to get the reports. We were in a mind much prepared, like something is worse is going to happen or what. But the reports came inconclusive. And doctor on the report wrote that patient is supposed to go chemotherapy, get the test done immediately. And after reading this statement, me, the mother broke. She was totally not prepared for a chemo, and that moment was very difficult. I was at loss of words, but I didn't know how to do. I could console her. I wanted to cry out loud, but I had to take another seat. So, and we went ahead with the biopsy. And meanwhile, since I had taken off for quite a while from the office, I went to office. And then the results came on 14th, and these were conclusive. And the tumor was serous carcinoma. So yes, at that time I was feeling very helpless. Like I wanted to. One thing was I wanted to be with her because at that moment, how will be she tackling it? And second thing was like the word "see" it brings out the fear. Like there's very less time left with your person who is going all these things. So there were so many things on going on at the same time. I was very fortunate to have friends over here in Jaipur. I had a friend, still touch a doctor dentist who was working with a hospital in Jaipur. She took me to another doctor for a second opinion. Like what should we do and how are things going to go ahead? So doctor, when I met the gynecologist over there, she said ki you don't need to worry. Tumor serous carcinoma is one among those which reacts very well to chemo. And if somebody is supposed to have a cancer, it should be this. So I was a bit relieved, but at the same time, some part of my brain knew she's consoling me. But and I was feeling all those things. And I booked my return tickets to Rajpur, Chandigarh, and mother was scheduled for a chemo next. Doctor advised her for 3 chemos, then surgery, then again 3 chemos. So we didn't have much time to decide. She said immediately next day we are having chemos. So I moved. When I was coming back, I booked my tickets for Chandigarh. So that very friend who took me to a doctor, we were having a conversation. I told her like I regret these feelings because I've not spent much time with my mother, and now I fear there is less time with her left. So one thing she told me at that time, which has remained with me till date, and I think I'll take it to my grave, and it's very helpful words which will help other people as well. It is death is inevitable. It is supposed to happen, but it is right now. It is not happening. So at this time, you have to make the most of the moment. You have to be this. You have to be the strength. It is that person who needs your support, and you cannot break down in front of her. So those were the very strong words which I still remember and are actually helping me, and they've helped me through my journey and are helping me till date. So as I reached in front of my mother. I ensured like I won't cry or do anything. I would just boost her up. Fortunately, things went very well. She took it bravely. First chemo session, she took it very bravely. Things were good, and as doctor advised, after chemo, the first week is quite very unimaginable. Might be some pain or something you might feel. So take off for a week and then go to office. Then for that week, I was with my mom, and at home things were a bit difficult. Like there were sometimes any kind of pain, body ache, headache. But we were fortunate, no fever and no vomiting, which was very much to be taken care of. And doctor said this should not happen, which didn't happen. So these things are going good. And for a week went good, and I moved back to office. And what we were fearing, the biggest fear that mother was always talking about, the concern was loss of hair. So we saw that this was not happening after the first chemo, which was a very good sign for us. I think might not be happening, but certainly after the second chemo, her hair started turning a bit rough and tricky. She couldn't wash those. So then at that moment after the second chemo in that week, I had to cut down her hair. So that was a very unimaginable, very painful situation. But we had to put her up. We can't help it. We have to do it. That was it. So at the same time, what thoughts were revolving around like, should we go for surgery to a private hospital or a government hospital? Since looking at the facilities and all those things. So I got an opinion with one of the doctors at Delhi. So he told me like for chemo, there's no difference. You do it across the world, it is very much the same. There's no difference. But for surgery, you have to look at the surgeons who are the gynecologists who are treating you. So these things would matter. So I was fortunate enough to come in contact with one of my colleague who lost her father just to cancer, and she had done all the procedures at Rajiv Gandhi. She guided me very well and gave me the numbers of assistant who I could talk to. Then I scheduled my appointment with doctors at Rajiv Gandhi. I went ahead to them, met them, ki this is how what we're following. So they were like very blunt and said, what we can do right now, yaar. You don't have patients in front of us. What do you want us to do? We can tell you you should do this. As per us, the surgery should have happened before and the chemo should have followed. But now you started this, follow that. And if you want to come for a surgery, come after the third chemo. We'll look into this thing. So I was hell bent. I don't want to get a surgery from the government hospital. And thing was, I was supposed to convince my father and the hospital how we're going to take this with the hospital guys here. The oncologist at Chandigarh was very much hell bent. Ki I won't give you a heads up for the surgery even after the third chemo if I'm not convinced the tumor sizes decrease significantly. Whereas Rajiv Gandhi people were saying you should come after third chemo. So there was a kind of situation was a fix. So, but we didn't have much time to decide, and we went ahead with the fourth chemo as well at Chandigarh only. And then the D-Day, he gave the indication like after the fourth chemo, now you're certain you can go for a surgery. Now we were in a fix how to talk to the doctors, but I was very much certain I will say it on the face. I don't want to get the surgery done from here. But fortunate for us, doctors even told the day your surgery is scheduled, we do not have a surgeon that we wanted. So if you can support, if you can afford a surgery outside and get it done in a private hospital, it would be good for us and you too. And we are very much open to take you back after the surgery for the chemos. So things automatically felt in line, and we went ahead with these things and surgery. And I scheduled a surgery at Rajiv Gandhi on 7th of September. Things were going smooth. So because surgery happened, so it was a 3.5 hour long journey. The surgery, sorry. So in between, I met a doctor and like where the surgery was going on. I saw the doctor was running here and there. I immediately rushed to her like, "What is happening?" He said, "Keep patience. We are doing our job. We'll let you know." So things were going fine, and she came out after 3.5 hours. We were relieved that things are good. Doctors even said, "Ki haan, things are fine." They called us then. Then this is a procedure like, but the organs have been removed. You are called to sign all those things, and you have to receive those organs and give your consent that we're going ahead with the biopsy of all these things. So situation was very tricky at that time, like how unimaginable way. I couldn't even think of what am I doing right now. So she came out of that and she was in ICU for 3 days. Those days I used to get a meet only twice, once in the morning and the evening. Then only thing I could see when I went in, there were so many tubes in and around her, so many. Everything was being fed through tubes. Only what she talked of was, "I want water." So we could not even fathom what is going through her right now. And everybody at the nurse were talking, "Pani de do unhe." So they told us like we know what we're doing right now. Doctors have told the intake of water should be very much limited. We will give it to her. So, but as a normal human being, layman, I could not imagine what her pain was right at that time. So yes, she braved out very well. 3 days of ICU went like I don't. They were very longest days, but she passed through. And the day she was out of the ICU, seeing her in the evening, like I could not imagine the pain, like the discomfort she was in because of constipation, because of pain, the surgery pain, indigestions, vomiting feeling. I could not see like the pain she was in. She was continuously saying, "Don't come near to me and stay with me." I could not see the situation. I was almost about to break down, but I controlled and I went to canteen and took an hour of my time alone, cried there, and came back. Yes, I have to control myself in front of her. Fortunately, things were going. She was recovering well. Doctors were saying she's doing good. And at that, the very same time, you like in India, there are so many relatives. They rush into like, something has happened. We need to meet. And I was the bad guy at that time, telling nobody, no, you can't meet her. She's not in a state to meet you. I didn't mind like close relatives and bua and nasi masi and kuch bhi. I didn't give a much. I didn't care. I said, nobody's allowed to meet when she's not ready to meet. This even I continued at home as well, because after chemos you have to be very much careful about all those things. Even the cleanliness and people around you. They can't collect. You can't collect people, so many people, because she's more less immune to all these things. Things went well, and she was discharged from hospital on 16th then, a day before her birthday. And very much fortunate, we celebrated her birthday with her on 17th. But we were in Delhi only because we were supposed to go back to hospital to get the stitches undone on 23rd. And finally, we came back home on 23rd. Things were smoothing out. The same things were happening. People were coming, and I was constantly the bad guy, telling people not to come along with her. And yes, then her next chemo was scheduled on 28th of September, and that went as per the schedule. And things after that, the result of biopsy came, and it was benign. Like we came to know, like didn't went to other organs. There were 5 organs that were removed. It was just in the ovaries only. They were not. It was not. Didn't went go to other stages. But when we came, like when we asked for the stage, like doctor said, we can't tell you the stage because chemos had already happened before the surgery. So we cannot actually exactly tell what stage it was. But she very much reacted very well to the chemos, and even the sixth chemo happened as per the plan, and everything was going smooth. After that, the follow-ups went very smooth, and everything was fine with her. She braved out very well after the cancer. Then things started moving on the personal front. Uh, Brother was supposed to get married, so she got herself engrossed into all those things, shopping, planning, and stuff. She was very much fine doing till my brother's marriage. It was in January 2019. Things rolled out smooth. Brother was here in India till March only. So things were going smooth. I was also moving back to my life. Like I was happy right now. Ki some bhabhi is there now with her to take care of her. She was working from home only, and I can move back to my things and I can focus on my studies and job. Meanwhile, I had changed my job too. I come down to Gurgaon just to be close to her. So then in June around June 19 only, I realized there's something wrong with her, because every time she complained like why these things have happened to me. She constantly was collecting things that had happened in the past. I did this because that's why God is doing this with me. So this were the signs of symptoms of depression which I could see. So I also took a time to accept this is actually depression. So after a while or so, like in a month's time, I decided to go for psychology sessions. I knew a doctor over there, though it was very difficult to convince her like how we should go for this. But I somehow managed 7 sessions with the psychologist. But things moved a bit. They moved for a week, but then they were again back to the same thing. Because of these things, because of depression, anxiety was growing. She was again suffering with IBS, constipation. All these things were getting collected, and all doctors said this is all anxiety and she needs to control all these things. But we could not help. I was not left with any choice. Then we went to see a psychiatrist. Since things were not moving, we decided to go to a psychiatrist around October. We saw in Rajpura. Things started to move, but she was very much dizzy in the day and every night, every time. So, but no signs of improvement on the thinking part, and like she didn't want to go to bank. I don't want to do this. So mornings were becoming very difficult for her and for us to like just to convince her that yes, you have to go to bank, because doctors have advised right now you have to keep yourself busy. The more you have the free time, more it is going to impact you. So these are very tough things that we had to face. Then the doctor at Rajpura didn't work out. Then we again went to our oncologist and talk about all these things. He suggested a doctor at the government medical hospital in Chandigarh only. Sessions kept on going on for with her for around like 4 5 months. And meanwhile, in this time, I had decided my career choices, and I wanted to go ahead for the MBA, and I was about to move to MBA from Mumbai in SP Jam. So it was in December where I was in a fix right now. Ki, what should I do? should I go ahead with my choices or should I take care of the mother? And because I also wanted to do something with the MBA because it had already been 2 years I had given up all on these things. I went ahead taking in stride like God will, whatever is planned is planned. I left it to God and went ahead with my thing. In March, like everybody knows how Corona happened, and I came back and everything was online. So at this time, things were very different for me because I had another stress of studies, studying from home, and it was very much difficult. So focusing on her was very difficult, and at the same time, the mornings for her were very difficult, and I could not and like I was very much aligned. Like father is not that capable of understanding what depression is. I knew, so he was not handling it that well. So there were very stressful situations in between me, mother, and father. We were fighting because of all these things, but things were not improving. I realized it is depression and it is going way bad for her. So then I finally came in touch with LHC. I knew of LHC before and only. I tried having a session for her for LHC. That didn't help. I was in touch with psychologists at my college, SP Jain, and one of the doctors at Mumbai. I was consulting all these people for mother only. So one of them suggested to see a psychiatrist in Chandigarh, and also one of my friend here suggested Dr. Hardeep at Forties, a psychiatrist you should see. Fortunately, things thankfully worked for me. Third psychiatrist worked for us, and after a certain 2 sessions, I would say, and around June, things started to move. She was happy. She was going to bang, not crying. Everything started to move. So, but in a way, certain times we did see bad days, but yes, doctor was very much cautious and said, "Ki you have to follow, you have to take care because she didn't miss a medicine. She should not miss her medicines on all about all these things." And fortunately, yes, now things are going and we're doing all the regular follow-ups. Her medicines are all psychiatry medicines are reducing. Everything is good by God's grace. This is a journey that has been for me. 2 years of tough time, but yes, right now we are out of it.
Okay, so Harshit, I would like to know that you were the support system of your family during this tough journey. But did you have somebody as your support system during this?
Definitely. So many friends. I told you, there were so many friends with there. One who was in touch with me, who gave me second opinions, who helped me. I have a friend who is a psychologist. So I took sessions for myself as well. I didn't mind taking sessions. I constantly shared with her like what is going on through me. I told you, I was in between. There were so many things going on in my life as well. I wanted to switch jobs. I wanted to do an MBA. So there were so many things, but friends were constant support for me. There's so many people there.
How did you handle your job alongside taking care of your mom and then also studying for MBA exams because it's not like it's easy. So how did you handle all of these things all at once?
I know that, but I'll tell you, this thing very much helped me to take everything with the flow. Like I could not give my GMAT exam because of this, so I had to go with the score that I had earlier. So I compromised on like what college am I getting into. I wanted to go abroad, but I compromised. But then I went with the flow. There were support system. You said like friends were a great support system to vent out things. There were so many nights, sleepless night. I'm crying. I don't know why am I crying. There were so many nights like this. But yes, I went with the flow, and with God's grace, I went and came out of this. The family, also the marriage of brother helped me because there was a bhabhi was a constant support for mother. So that wherein I could leverage her support and focus on myself. This is what I would say right now.
So other than like chemotherapy and surgery, did you look into any alternative treatments while
Yes. Otherwise, like would have heard of all these natural solutions. Like people say,
natural?
go to Solon and get in. There's a Baba who does this thing and gives you medicine, and this will get cured. But the oncologist that we were in touch with at Chandigarh, he was very much vocal about all these things, and I was very much vocal about all these things. So should I go ahead for this thing? He ridiculed this thing because you can't judge a thing like when you're doing both the things at the same time. You can get results from this. So I either stop this and go to him, or do it here and go believe us. So we were in a fix, but we went ahead with the allopathy thing, and we believed in this because things were moving for us.
But there are a lot of side effects of this treatment. So
Exactly, there are so many side effects.
how did you deal with them?
Side effects like one is like I would say the hair loss of weight, the willness, and I've even read the facts like 70% of the people go in depression, which everything was happening with us. IBS symptom, the constipation, everything was happening. Whatever is the side effect, everything was happening. So we took every one thing at a time, dealt with it. There were so many situations I cannot even explain right now how difficult those were. But yes, we didn't have a choice. If it is chemo, it is we have to go with it. We are happy we are not going through radiations because I used to see people who were going through radiations and they were in a more bad situation. I should not say that thing, but right now, but yes, we were thankful like things we could detect things at an early stage, probably at an early stage, and the cancer was very much curable with chemo. So to, in a nutshell, I would say like we didn't have a choice right now. We had to go with this. We went with the flow.
So, okay, see, this journey is the most difficult time one has to go through, even as a caregiver or as a patient. So, this experience, this cancer experience for you, how has this changed you, and how did you manage to take care of yourself during this?
The very thing that it has changed me, it has made me more humble. I value people more, relations more. I tell you, I gave up my choices, career choices. I do not regret right now because I wanted to be with her at that time. So I right now am less materialistic, more empathetic, compassionate towards her, and taking one thing at a time and accepting whatever is planned for you. Go with the flow. Life is not fair, but you cannot do anything. You have to go with the flow. So this is how I have changed, and I totally with this I keep on changing. Every day is a new learning for me.
Okay, tell me one cherished moment which you have with your mother, if you can.
Definitely. During the journey,
Yeah, I would prefer it to be during the journey,
I'll
but
tell you one thing.
yeah,
So
it's your.
it was after the I would say around fourth chemo or something like when she had totally lost her hair completely. She was bald, and I was in Jaipur and buying, thinking of wigs for her. Like she wanted wigs. So I was sending her the pictures. I was wearing wigs and sending her pictures. Do you like this? Do you like this? What kind of hair do you want? Brown color or blue color? She said, it's okay. Matlab, there was a sudden shift in her. Like I don't want any wigs. I'll carry myself like this only. That was a very great moment. Ki, she has accepted now. Ki, I don't want anything unnatural, which I was not accepting because one of the fearful thing that she had at that time was this only. Ki, how would I face the world with the bald head when so much losing? So when I came back home, she happily posed for me, like click pictures for me, like when I'm bald. I have all those pictures, but I don't share it. She accepted that. I was fortunate enough during the chemo, she braved it very well. But only after the chemos, things started going in the depression direction. But during the chemos, there was no such things. I'm happy about that thing. Yes,
It's very hard to maintain your emotions inside when the person you love is going through such unimaginable things and pain. I cannot
exactly.
even imagine what a caregiver is going through because it's like everything falls on you. You are their support system, you are handling yourself and your life along with it. It's like you are not going through that pain, you're not going through what they're going through, but then it's different, but it's equally painful for you also.
Exactly. So you cannot imagine what pain they are going through, but at the same time, what you are going through, they can't even think of right now because I had two lives running at the same time because one was I had to take care of mother and other was like I have to see where am I going in my career. So I have to make career choices because I see my peers they were making choices and I was at the same time I think I'm lacking behind, but I had to adjust, adapt accordingly. It is difficult, but I'm very fortunate enough. I got the right directions, right support of friends. I made very great friends during this time who came out, supported me like anything. So
You
yes,
learn the value of true friendship.
exactly, exactly,
That's true. Hard times actually teach you who is standing beside you and who is not.
exactly.
It's true. Okay, Harshit, there are a lot of people a lot of caregivers who are with us who are going through their journey as of now, who are still going through their journey. So, what is one thing that you would like to tell them or say to them?
Like I said, the words that my friend said to me, see, death is inevitable. You have to accept this thing. If it is bound to happen, it is destined. But right now, make the best of the time. Be the support system, because the patient who is going through it, you cannot even fathom what pain he is going through, he or she is going through. You have to be the strength and support system. And I know will can make things very much help. If you show positive will, things will move for them. So I would say stay positive, do whatever you have in your right now in front of you. That's it. I would say like this message should be what I would like to end over here. Yes.
Okay, I just have one more thing to ask. As you know that Zenonco is working towards betterment of the patients and people who are going through this. So, what do you think about that? Like, what are your thoughts in the same regarding Zenonco.io?
So I would say like betterment of the patient in like one aspect that you're right now we are doing, we're talking. There are other aspects as I know I will.
Integrative
But this,
technology. Yeah.
yes, yes. So this is very much the need of the hour, because we generation, like we people only realize there's a depression, there's something which is there. People of our fathers, mothers, and parents' generation, they do not realize like what depression is. And as I know the fact about this cancer, 70% of the people go through depression. So this is a very great platform, the LHC and Zenonco, wherein you are actually telling the people how to take care of patients during the journey. This is, as you know, cancer is just not the medical thing; it's about the mental health as well, and it totally breaks down the family completely. So I think it's a very, very great initiative, and at the same time, you are even awareing people like they should know like they should not ignore the signs, the symptoms of the body. Your body actually sings. It will give you indications, and you cannot ignore it. This is in this way you people are doing a very great job.
No, it's true because PTSD is one of the very common symptom which happens
Exactly.
in cancer patients after their journey. Like
Hmm.
even thinking about those moments, you realize you're scared of those moments which you went through. So
Hmm.
that is actually a very common symptom, and people don't accept it. That because
Exactly.
in Indian society, depression is still a taboo. It's like no, in that depression is nothing. What is wrong with you? Be happy. It's not like that. People don't understand that physical health is one part, but there is something like mental health. There's a very, I don't even think there is so much awareness about it. Because if you
Exactly.
go to a psychiatrist, you are literally called a mental patient. Like he's crazy, man. He's gone
Hmm.
psycho.
Hmm.
But it's not that. It's very necessary that people should know that depression, PTSD, these are very real things which actually
Exactly.
hurt people inside because your brain is everything. Your brain is controlling your body, and if it's not healthy, then there's no point of anything.
I totally agree, and I've learned all these things in my last few years through the journey, through mother. Even I've helped other people through who are going through depression. I've learned all these things. I totally agree with you.
I know we really need to make more awareness about these things. Like these are real symptoms because everybody talks about side effects like headaches and vomiting and weight loss, but very less people talk about side effects like PTSD. So there's and I'm really happy that you were brave enough to share this, that you went through all this because as I'm telling you, usual side effects everybody talks about, but listening to somebody say that PTSD is real and it can happen, guys, at least they will believe that yes, what they
Exactly.
are going through is not something which is happening to them. It's something which is just something wrong with their mental health which they have to just take care of. So it's a very brave thing that you talked about it.
My pleasure.
So, is there something you would like to add to these patients who might go through PTSD after this? If you would like to add something.
My message will still be the same. Acceptance is one thing you have to, as soon as you accept it, because in my case as well, I took a time to accept like there's something wrong, there's a depression with my mother. So as soon as you accept and there's no, I would just say please do not be afraid of accepting that you're in depression, and seek help as soon as it is possible. It is very much normal, and it is very much normal to talk about all these things. I know this will take time, but one should take one step at a time and you will get to this. That's it, I would say.
Okay, thank you so much, Harshit, for doing this. Your journey as a caregiver is truly inspiring because handling your professional life along with something which you want to do ahead in career, and then taking care of your mother side by side, all while thinking how will this end and accepting everything that comes along with it. It's really inspiring. So thank you so much for coming on this platform. I thank you from Love Heals Cancer and zenonco.io for doing this. I'm 100% sure people would learn something from this and would learn to accept that this is real. This can happen. So thank you so much for doing this.
My pleasure. I'm truly very happy. I so wanted to do this. I have been in touch with Dimple for this twice, probably, but I could not do because of my MBA stuff. So really wanted to do this. Thank you for giving this opportunity.
I'm glad we got time to do this now.
Exactly.
At least due to this COVID, we had time that we can talk
Yes,
about it.
exactly. COVID proved to be a blessing in disguise, I would say, because I got to stay with my mom and help her out, probably.
It is actually sort of blessing in disguise. You learn value of so much. So what is important and what is not. So
Exactly.
it's there are like pros and cons of everything. So if you look at
Obviously.
it in that way, it is actually a blessing.
Yes.
So thank you and have a good day.
Same to you, Pratika. Nice talking
Take
to
care
you.
of yourself.
Same to you.